Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking about a country that feels like it is standing on the edge, where anger is boiling in the streets, fear is spreading inside homes, and hope is fighting to survive in the hearts of millions. Iran is once again shaken by protests, deaths, and powerful chants that openly challenge the ruling clerical system, while empty fridges and economic despair push ordinary people toward a breaking point. Across Iran, protests have erupted in cities large and small, from major urban centers to remote towns that rarely make international headlines. These are not isolated gatherings, they are widespread expressions of frustration that have been building for years. What makes the current situation more dangerous is the intensity of the anger and the direct nature of the slogans being shouted. People are no longer only demanding better living conditions, many are questioning the entire system that has ruled them for decades. Reports of deaths during these protests have added fuel to an already raging fire. Each death becomes a symbol not just of loss, but of the price people are paying for raising their voices. Families mourn while communities grow more determined. In many cases, funerals turn into new protests, creating a cycle that the authorities struggle to contain. Fear no longer works the way it once did, and that is deeply worrying for those in power. At the center of this unrest is the crushing economic crisis. Inflation has eaten away at salaries, making even basic necessities feel like luxuries. Food prices have skyrocketed, rent has become unbearable, and unemployment continues to rise, especially among the youth. When people talk about empty fridges, it is not a metaphor. It is a daily reality for millions of Iranian families who simply cannot afford enough food. Parents are forced to make painful choices about what to buy and what to sacrifice. Meat, fruit, and even simple staples have become too expensive for regular consumption. Many households survive on bread, tea, and the cheapest available items. This kind of economic pressure slowly destroys dignity, and over time it turns frustration into rage. The Iranian rial has lost much of its value, and savings that took years to build have been wiped out. For pensioners and government employees on fixed incomes, life has become especially difficult. People who once considered themselves middle class now find themselves slipping into poverty. This sense of falling backward, of losing everything despite working hard, has become a powerful driver of protest. Sanctions play a major role in this crisis, but many Iranians argue that corruption and mismanagement are just as responsible. They see elites living comfortably while ordinary citizens struggle to survive. This contrast is impossible to ignore, especially in the age of social media, where images of luxury coexist with images of poverty on the same screens. Chants against the ruling clerics, and even against the supreme leadership, reflect a dramatic shift. In the past, many protesters were careful with their words, focusing on economic issues rather than political authority. Now the slogans are more direct and more daring. This shows that fear has weakened and that anger has crossed a psychological threshold. For the Iranian leadership, this presents a serious challenge. Calls questioning the authority of the supreme leader were once unthinkable in public spaces. Today, they echo through streets and neighborhoods. This does not mean the system is about to collapse overnight, but it does signal a deep erosion of legitimacy in the eyes of many citizens. Security forces have responded with force, as they have in previous waves of unrest. Internet shutdowns, arrests, and crackdowns are used to control the narrative and limit coordination among protesters. Yet even these measures seem less effective than before. Information still finds a way out, and videos and testimonies continue to spread, both inside Iran and beyond its borders. Each crackdown leaves scars. People remember the names of those who died, those who were injured, and those who disappeared into detention centers. These memories accumulate, creating a shared sense of injustice that cannot easily be erased. The state may suppress protests temporarily, but the underlying grievances remain unresolved. Young people are at the heart of this movement. Many of them see no future in the current system. High unemployment, limited freedoms, and constant pressure have created a generation that feels trapped. For them, protesting is not just about today's problems, but about reclaiming a future that feels stolen. Women play a crucial role as well. Economic hardship hits women particularly hard, especially those who are heads of households. In many protests, women stand at the front lines, chanting, filming, and organizing. Their presence sends a powerful message about the depth of dissatisfaction across society. Ethnic and regional dimensions also add complexity to the situation. Protests in peripheral regions often combine economic demands with long-standing grievances about discrimination and neglect. When these regions erupt, it becomes even harder for the central government to present the unrest as the work of a small group or foreign influence. State media often blames external enemies for the protests, claiming they are orchestrated from abroad. While foreign pressure and media coverage certainly play a role, this explanation fails to convince many Iranians. The empty fridges, unpaid wages, and rising prices are realities that cannot be dismissed as foreign plots. Religious symbolism has also changed. While Iran remains a deeply religious society, many protesters separate faith from the political system that governs in its name. This distinction is important. People are not necessarily rejecting religion, but they are rejecting a system they believe has used religion to justify corruption and repression. The leadership faces a difficult dilemma. Making concessions could be seen as weakness and might encourage more protests. Using force risks further anger and international condemnation. So far, the response has been a mix of limited promises and heavy-handed control, a strategy that has not addressed the root causes. Economic reforms are urgently needed, but they are difficult to implement under sanctions and internal power struggles. Fighting corruption threatens powerful interests within the system. Improving relations with the outside world could ease economic pressure, but it requires political compromises that hardliners resist. As protests continue, the question many are asking is whether this moment represents a turning point or just another chapter in a long cycle of unrest. Iran has seen many protests over the years, and the system has survived them all, but each wave leaves the country more fragile and the population more disillusioned. The psychological impact of constant crisis should not be underestimated. Living under economic stress and political tension takes a toll on mental health. Anxiety, depression, and hopelessness are widespread, even if they are rarely discussed openly. This emotional exhaustion can either lead to apathy or push people to take greater risks. International reactions vary. Some governments condemn the violence and express support for protesters. Others remain cautious, balancing human rights concerns with strategic interests. For many Iranians, international statements feel distant and symbolic, offering little immediate relief from daily struggles. Diaspora communities play an important role in amplifying voices from inside Iran. Through social media, protests gain global attention, and stories that might otherwise be silenced reach a wider audience. This connection provides moral support, but it also increases pressure on the government. The role of technology is crucial. Despite restrictions, smartphones and messaging apps remain powerful tools for organization and documentation. Each video shared becomes evidence, each message a form of resistance. The state's efforts to control cyberspace show how seriously it takes this digital battleground. At the same time, prolonged unrest carries risks. Violence can escalate, innocent people can be caught in the middle, and the economy can deteriorate further. Some Iranians worry about instability turning into chaos, a fear shaped by the experiences of other countries in the region. Yet many protesters argue that they have little left to lose. When survival itself becomes a daily struggle, the risks of protest feel less frightening. This mindset explains the courage seen on the streets, even in the face of armed security forces. The phrase "empty fridges" has become a powerful symbol. It captures the intersection of economic failure and political accountability. It is a reminder that ideology cannot fill stomachs, and that legitimacy ultimately depends on the ability to provide a decent life for citizens. Leadership speeches calling for unity and patience often ring hollow to those who cannot afford basic necessities. When officials urge people to endure hardship for the sake of national resistance, many ask why the burden always falls on the same shoulders. The future remains uncertain. Change in Iran has always been complex and unpredictable. What is clear is that the gap between the state and large segments of society has widened significantly. Trust has eroded, and rebuilding it would require profound changes. For now, Iran remains on edge. Protests may flare up or subside, but the underlying tension persists. Deaths have left wounds that will not heal quickly. Chants in the streets have broken taboos that cannot easily be restored. History shows that systems can endure long after losing popular support, but it also shows that pressure accumulates. Whether this pressure leads to reform, repression, or something entirely different is impossible to say with certainty. What can be said is that the voices being heard today reflect genuine pain and frustration. They come from workers, students, parents, and pensioners. They are not abstract political actors, but real people struggling to survive. As the world watches, Iran stands at a crossroads shaped by economic collapse, social anger, and political rigidity. The choices made in the coming months will have lasting consequences, not only for those in power but for the millions of lives caught in between. This situation is not just about protests and politics. It is about dignity, survival, and the basic human desire for a future that feels possible. Until empty fridges are filled and voices are genuinely heard, the edge on which Iran stands will remain sharp and dangerous. We will continue to follow this story closely because what happens next matters deeply, not just for Iran, but for the wider region and the world.